broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello everyone and welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV's special spotlight on with showrunners, and I am Kaori Takee, and I've got a very, very, very special guest with me. I've got Johnny Green.
Hi.
Or at The John Show.
Yeah, that's
on Twitter.
I force people to refer to me as my Twitter handle in real life. It's very awkward and annoying, but you know what? It helps get my brand out there, and that's a big part of Hollywood, so it's important.
Yes, that's very true. And so this is the show where we talk about people who really make everything work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
The very, very important people. Without them, nothing would be created or in full effect. So, Johnny, tell everyone a little bit about yourself and where you come from and why you're so important in the YouTube world.
Okay, yeah, that's not setting me up for high expectations at all. So, yeah, my name is Jonathan Green. In the YouTube world, I am by far the second most popular Jonathan Green. There is if you've heard of The Fault in Our Stars or the Vlog Brothers, there is a John Green out there that has done amazing things for YouTube.
What about you?
Well, he's done a lot for YouTube, especially. So I don't want to talk bad about the other John Green. But yeah, I'm a different John Green. I work with the Fine Brothers, Benny and Rafi Fine, who run YouTube.com/TheFineBros and YouTube.com/React. Those are our two main channels. Our first channel has like roughly 12.2 million subscribers. It's one of the top 20 channels in the world. And our second channel, which we launched about 7 months ago, youtube.com/React, hit 1 million subscribers in less than 5 days. So it was like, it broke all kinds of ground in terms of viewership and subscribers. And like, we were so blown away because we had this main channel. And we're like, oh, I wonder if we created more content, if people would flock to that. And man, did they. And it was so powerful. So I'm the COO of Fine Brothers Entertainment, which is the company that runs those two main channels.
And for our viewers, how did you get involved with the Fine Brothers?
Great story.
Great story.
So I moved out to LA probably about 10 years ago, just in trying to pursue my love of production, and I was like a live TV director back in Western Massachusetts. So I was that guy in Sub Control. If you ever see like the SNL promos with the guy sitting in front of 1,000 buttons and 100 TV screens, like that was me. I was doing that for the local news. Sort of what Mark is doing right now, but a little more monitors behind it.
Mark in the engineering booth, by the way, guys.
And
thank you.
So I was doing that, but I was making like minimum wage, and I just wasn't like, and I was still working at a dry cleaner. So I was like, screw it, I'll move out to LA. I really want to, do production. I figured a live director in Western Massachusetts equaled at least a production assistant in LA. So I came out here for that. I ended up working at a startup company that was trying to do like live streaming stuff, like Justin TV or Ustream or Stick'em or all that kind of stuff. And I hired Rafi Fine as my production assistant. So
that's so funny.
Yeah, this was about I don't know, maybe like 7-8 years ago now. But this was, and before they were like, their channel had even like, I don't know, they probably, when I met him, they probably only had like 5,000 subscribers maybe on YouTube.
So hold on for a second, just backtracking. Rafi wanted he had a YouTube channel at the time with his brother. Yeah. But they were not popular at the time.
No, they had like maybe like 2,000 or 5,000 subscribers.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah. I mean, that's the law.
But that's certainly not enough subscribers to have a full-time like job and like quit everything else. Like you're not going to get enough views to pay your rent with that many subscribers.
So at that time, they were looking for production assistant jobs. So they
were looking for, I think, any work.
Okay.
I think Benny was writing at the time, or looking for like writing gigs, and Rafi was kind of like the nails guy, and the brick and mortar guy who's looking for like actual hands-on production work. He's the editor. He's very technically oriented, so he was looking for production work, and we were looking for a production assistant. And I was kind of just interviewing people on air as they came in for their job interview, and we just got along so well. Our sense of humor matched, and I was just like, I want to work with this guy, and we maintained that relationship. And over time, it's a great relationship to have.
Yeah, well, definitely. It's like now you guys are working together, and now you got a solid position. Question, though. I know that you worked with them on a podcast as well, right?
Oh, yeah. So that was the other thing. So we were like, yes, like that's my claim to fame is that I hired Rafi as my PA. But we, like throughout that job and afterwards, like we were very close friends. I became close friends with Benny. That company went under after like a year or two. We parted ways, but we were still close friends. And I was always fascinated by podcasts. I just loved them. I always wanted to do them. I still want to do them now.
You're doing one right now.
Well, yes, exactly. But I want to do it like all the time. Like I wish I had the free time to do a weekly podcast. But we weren't working together at the time. I was working in an agency. I think maybe they were just starting out to try and do YouTube full time. And I was just like, hey, let's get together and let's do a podcast. Like, I'll do everything because they were already crazy busy. I was like, I'll bring microphones to your house and my little mixer, and I'll record it myself, and I'll edit it together, and I'll upload it. Like, you guys just have to like hang out for an hour or two, and we'll record this podcast together. And so I pitched them for this idea called the All We Know podcast that was literally a podcast about all we knew about certain topics.
Right.
So it's like whatever we may have heard, like bits and pieces of, either through like CNN or Reddit or like NPR or something throughout the week, we just have pieces of information. We're not very intellectually qualified to discuss anything, but we're going to tell you literally all we know about these major news stories. So we'd basically go across like the board, like U.S. news, world news, entertainment. We'd cover these things, and we'd mention one thing, and then the three of us would just kind of guess what the story was. And it was really fun, and it was great, and we did it for about 3 years.
That's a long time.
Probably had, but it was maybe only like 60 or around 60 episodes or so over those 3 years. But
that's like every
couple of weeks,
every couple of weeks. So what was the turning point for the Fine Brothers, and how were you involved with that turning point?
I think there were a couple turning points for them. I think the first turning point was when they decided to go full-time with their YouTube channel, which was probably, if I may be wrong, but it was probably around when the first Kids React kind of went viral. That's kind of what the Fine Brothers are known for, is that Kids React, Teens React, Elders React, and YouTubers React. Those are our biggest series. And when they were playing around with different formats, once, I think it was around the time of the very first Kids React, which is when they decided, okay, screw it, we're not going to take other jobs, we're just going to throw everything into this and see if we can somehow make this work and actually make a living, just the two of them, off of their YouTube channel. So I would say that's their first turning point, is when YouTube became sustainable just for them financially. And then the second turning point, I would say, is when we officially founded the company, which was in November, December 2011. YouTube at the time had come out with this original channels initiative where they were funding, I think they had like $100 million, and they were going to fund all these different YouTube channels and create all this original content and programming so that hopefully they could have like high, premium quality stuff on the site, and maybe charge, and be able to get advertisers more excited about that content, as opposed to everybody seeing YouTube as like cat videos and like, and user generated stuff, like higher production value stuff. So that the Fine Brothers ended up lobbying and getting one of those channels in that initiative, and that gave us the seed money to actually incorporate, get office space. That's when they hired me away from the agency, and that's when we first got our first employees together as Fine Brothers Entertainment. So you're pretty much like the unspoken third Fine Brother. That's the way, the way I describe myself is I am the tallest, least Jewish, unrelated Fine Brother. That's kind of, that's my bio. So you've been with them just all the way through? Since we started the company, since 2011. Yeah. Okay, but you've been with them even before? Well, in a friend capacity, and like coworkers previously. So when they decided, when the Fine company really launched in 2011, they said,
you have to come with us?
Yeah, I mean, they had been like jokingly trying to like pull me away even earlier. Benny and Rafi Fine were actually two of the creators of what would become Maker Studios, which is a giant MCN
Makers
that just
big.
got bought by Disney.
Yeah.
But way back in the day, it was called The Station, and they were actually the two of the founding people behind that, and they were at the time trying to get me to come and work there as like a head of production or something else, but I just couldn't quite afford to take that lead at the time.
It's scary.
Yeah, but when this YouTube Original Channels initiative came through, it was, still a tough decision to make, but it's like, and your friend's getting an amazing opportunity and you getting to go and do that with them. So, yeah.
Well, how have you been feeling about the success? And like, just you guys have been growing so rapidly within the past 6 months. There's all this new stuff coming out all the time on Variety, on Hollywood Reporter, et cetera, et cetera. So how has that?
It's exhausting. And it's exhausting, and I feel like nobody wants to hear about how exhausting it is, because it's like, there's so many people like hustling and and struggling and trying to make it in this in the city, and we are to such a an nth degree to ourselves just in the digital space, constantly trying to like prove our worth and prove our validity and like compete with major networks and traditional TV stations and all that other stuff. But yeah, we've been the fans of our content and the views have just continuously rewarded every bit of like blood, sweat, and tears that we put into the company, and so every success that we get immediately feeds back into the company, and we're able to like get another computer or hire another editor or like get more office space. Like we're funneling everything that we have back into this company to help it grow and get even bigger, so we can do more shows and like and more content. And
well, how do you feel about YouTube being the future of entertainment? Because obviously, you got all these YouTube stars and all these TV places wanting YouTube stars to make it into the TV world. Like, how do you think that's working out nowadays?
It's interesting because in my mind, like, YouTube is so like clearly there. Like, there was this great Variety article that came out, or it might have been the Hollywood Reporter, but they basically asked like 13 to 17-year-olds, like, hey, who's your favorite like star? Who's your favorite celebrity? And I could be wrong, but I think like 7 of the top 10 celebrities were YouTube stars. Smosh, a giant YouTube channel, was number 1. The Fine Bros were like number 2.
That's
like,
pretty big.
Above like Ryan Gosling and Jennifer Lawrence and like, and Jared Leto or Heath Ledger,
Really?
all these people, like there were YouTube stars above these people in the eyes of, in these like American teens, whoever they were polled. Like, I don't know, maybe it was all like LA teens that were super into YouTube or something.
You were at VidCon or something.
Yeah. The poll was taken at VidCon. If that was the case, then it would be incredibly biased. But no, I think if anybody were to like go and, and they may not know who I am or the Fine Brothers are, but if they have like a little sister or a younger cousin or something, if you were to go to that cousin and be like, hey, have you heard of Kids React? Like they would be like, oh my God, yes, what are you talking about? So the younger generation is consuming so much of their content online and on their phone and on the tablet that it's not even an argument in my mind. That's so clearly the case. And YouTube personalities or stars that have built a loyal fan base and following are so powerful in this new era because they have their own distribution. They have their own audience built into them already.
TV's catching on.
Yeah, and so it's a sort of question of like, well, why do they need the TV station or that record deal or that book deal or whatever it is that you're bringing them? Because it used to be a very transparent offering of what the other side was getting out of the equation. We're giving you an audience. We're giving you the marketing and the promotion for this. And that's not a selling point to big YouTubers. Big YouTubers have their audience already. They can release an album if they want to. They can make a movie and release it to the audience,
So then why do the Fine Brothers decide to, connect with Nickelodeon or...
That's a perfectly great question, because there are still great partnerships to be made. It's not like it's only YouTube and and TV isn't going to get there. There's going to be some great convergence in the future between both sides of this into whatever this technology becomes.
Is that kind of like what you see in Netflix and Amazon and Hulu Plus and all that, the streaming?
Yes, I mean, they're definitely like trailblazing like the digital online only side of that. They're kind of creating their own studios that are competing directly with like CBS and stuff like that. But I'm sorry, what was the original question?
No, I completely forgot. But
it's about why partner with traditional networks like Nickelodeon or whatever else, because there are still just because YouTube is big doesn't mean people still aren't watching TV. They are, especially the networks that are aggressively pursuing online distribution and putting their clips up everywhere. And those partnerships, that is still where the majority of ad dollars are spent. I think you're seeing that shift a little bit towards more money being spent on the digital side on YouTube. Yeah. But if you're looking for big ad revenue, it's still TV, and that's where the money is going. So if you're looking to do something bigger budget, you're still going to need to have to partner up with a traditional partner to help fund that to a degree.
It just sounds like so many different mediums coming at your face, and you're trying to sit there and juggle everything. So how do you juggle everything? I mean, you must have a life, I'm sure, but
I have not much of a life. I haven't had much of a life for about 3 years. It's a lot of lists. And I use Wunderlist. It's a great task trapping app. I think I have about 20 or 25 different sets of lists. And you just do your best to surround yourself with really talented people that are energetic and passionate and motivated and can help you accomplish that, because the three of us are not going to get done what we're able to do on a weekly basis. We're putting up I don't even know right now, a lot. 9 to 12 videos a week between our channels, and these are incredibly intense and high production value stuff that is a challenge.
Well, what about the creative process? How do you guys decide what you want your teens, your kids, your elders to react to? How does all that work out?
It's a split between us doing our best to have our finger on the pulse of what's popular and what's interesting, and so we're constantly watching YouTube, we're constantly watching Twitter, we're constantly watching different in blogs that in trend and in whatever's going viral or whatever's popular at the time. And then we also look to our audience as well. If you look at the comment section of any of our videos, you're going to see hundreds and hundreds of comments that are react to this, react to this, react to this. And so a lot of that, we're sometimes we've heard of it, sometimes we haven't heard of it, and we look into it and we're oh my God. So our fans actually give us, a lot of interesting suggestions as well. And they help us prioritize suggestions. If we see they're all asking for a certain thing, that helps us prioritize or think about that. But then we also have to justify all of that with if it will make a good episode or not, because if you look at our content, it's not just reacting to something, it's reacting to something and then having a conversation about it.
Right.
And you have to be able to figure out what's that deeper level, what's that actual conversation and debate that you can have about that subject, and what are the interesting opinions that you can pull out of that. Because there could be an incredibly awesome viral video, but when you think about it, there's not much to talk about there. You know what I mean? It's kind of a one-sided thing, or it's it's a very shallow discussion. So we have to take all of what I said and then try and vet or debate against each other whether or not we think that'll actually flesh out into a full 10-minute episode.
So is there a lot involved when it comes to the editing process then?
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's what the thing is, that those shows like Kids React or Teens React, they look so simple from a viewer perspective. It's just a little kid and a table and a light, and and that's it. You kind of edit together 12 kids saying funny stuff, and you've got a hit video, and it's oh my God, is it not that? Because we're shooting so much with all these kids, and you have to go through all that footage, and you have to try and find a way of showcasing all the different opinions while still having some kind of through line that makes sense, so it's not just a hodgepodge all across the board. And then we're just very intense with the quality control on that, the sound mix and the color and the graphics and all that other stuff. We're just we're really protective of the content that we put out. So it takes so much time to really perfect that.
Well, yeah, you guys have really nice, clean videos.
Yeah.
So, how do you pick your kids?
Another great question. It's one of the misconceptions is that they're all like actors or something like that. Like, especially when people find out, like, oh, we're in LA or in a Burbank, like, oh, it must all be actors.
You're in Burbank?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
And we actually don't we like real people. Like we and we post on Instagram all the time, like when we're looking for new talent. Like, unfortunately, they need to be in Southern California, but we're constantly doing open casting calls for all the different generations. We go to like nursing homes and retirement centers, and we flyer and we talk to like entertainment directors or whatever else, and we're like, hey, here's the show. If any of your like seniors would be interested, like
that's so cute.
Like you can come on, or we'll go to local high schools or stuff like that.
Are kids usually found by their parents? Are the parents usually the ones that submit them, or?
I've been removed from that, at least the on the ground effort for a while. But my gut tells me it's a mixture of both, because there's a lot of times, especially if you're going to a high school or somewhere else, that you're actually giving the information to kids, like, hey, talk to your parents. Like, if you're interested, like, come out and like be a part of this thing, or at least kind of like screen tests. Like, there is a kind of some part of that to like figure out.
So you're saying they are not actors, they're just normal kids that want to help out,
or they're just whatever, they're just talkative, or and they have big personalities or big opinions, and and they're I mean, there's all kinds of kids. There's quiet kids, there's and shy kids, there's rambunctious kids, there's and they're all across the board, and we just look for people that are comfortable honestly sharing their opinions and sharing what they think about different things, and aren't too concerned about trying to portray something or look good or say the right thing. We just aren't.
Do you get that with celebrity reacts? I know Maria was on the show at some point.
Maria.
Obviously our girl Maria was there, and then also Maisie from
Maisie Williams. Although she wasn't on Celebrities React, she was just on Teens React, just because she's a teenager.
Yeah. Did she volunteer herself?
Yeah. Well, I think we were fans of each other online. I think we followed each other on Twitter.
Okay.
And so we were just hey, we noticed she was coming out, or we were just hey, if you're ever in LA, come be on Teens React or something. And because she is a member of that younger generation, she's super into YouTube. So she was very strangely familiar with us and a fan of our channel. And so she was cool. Yeah, I would love to come be on Teens React. So she's actually been in 3 or 4 Teens React episodes, which is just crazy because we're all such huge Game of Thrones fans, and there's Arya Stark on our show.
You're like, can I get an anagram? Because old people do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's see, what else can I ask you? Tons of questions. So what's your favorite one to do of the reacts, or of anything that you guys create?
It's interesting. I'm split right now between, there is always a Kids React episode that'll catch me totally off guard and floor me. It's been a technology episodes, whether it's in rotary phone or a VHS player or something. Those episodes will just kill me. In terms of stuff that I really enjoy, because I've now been plugged into YouTube for so long, I'm fascinated by the YouTubers React episodes, just because those are so unique to the platform. There is no other show on YouTube or online that puts together so many giant personalities. You know what I mean? These are the biggest people on YouTube, and and hundreds of thousands and millions of fans, and we'll have 8 or 9 of them in the same episode talking about the same thing, and the insight and opinions that they bring to topics, especially when we go into memes or stuff. When we rickrolled the YouTubers, it was one of the funniest episodes of my life. When we showed them, we did a try not to laugh challenge with them. PewDiePie was in that. It was just
I love PewDiePie.
So incredibly ridiculous, the insight they bring to it, because so many of them are either OG YouTubers or they've been around the platform for so long that they understand the audience, they understand, like, and what we're talking about to such a intense degree that it's a very interesting conversation, especially with the fines.
Yeah.
They're also kind of like OG YouTubers. Like, just the conversation that comes out of talking about the silliest thing, whether it was Darude Sandstorm or any other like trending thing online, it's fascinating to get their insight on that. But then, in the teens, we started like gaming with them recently on the React channel, and there are episodes of that floor me. And then, and how do you not like watching like the elders react to twerking or something else? Like, there's just so much. We gave them the Oculus Rift. And
I saw that one.
You just saw like them lose their mind because they didn't even realize this technology existed, and they're like on the verge of like, and just like, how did like we get to be a part of this? And it's just like amazing. So each one of them has a different kind of strength that
and I like it seems so organic when you watch them. They're really reacting, and
that's because like literally it's none of that is scripted. Like we script some of the questions that we want to ask them, but all of their reactions are what that person thinks. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes we'll ask them to like clarify or something, but none of that is being fed to them. We're not trying, like, you know what I mean? There's no cue cards. There's no anything. It's just these people coming in sharing their lives with us, which is crazy.
Well, I have a question for you in regards to reacting.
Yes.
So you went to Japan.
Well,
how was the Johnny Green react to Japanese culture?
So we got an amazing opportunity again, like through YouTube, where that YouTubers React series, they wanted us. YouTube has a couple different sound stages across the world. They have one in New York, a big one in LA in Playa Vista. They have one in London. They have one in Tokyo. And I think they have like another one in Brazil. And there are a couple others that I think they're in talks. So they had a YouTube space out in Tokyo. And they're like, hey, why don't you come out to Tokyo and do like a YouTubers React with Japanese YouTubers? Like, come film with like Japanese talent. And we were like, that would be incredible.
What kind of Japanese talent did you do with?
So just the big Japanese YouTubers. Like, we had two people that were like musicians, Hikakin and Daichi Beatboxer. And then we had kind of like a makeup guru / like candy vlogger whose name was like Venus Angelic. And then we had another makeup guru and another like a sketch team called Megwin TV, and these big, and I'm probably forgetting somebody.
What were they reacting to?
So all of their episodes are out on our channel now. You can see one of them was tight pants body rolls, which was you just have to like YouTube it. It's just, it looks like something Tim and Eric might do, but it's just a crazy music video done by this amazing comedian. And then what was I forget what the second one they did was, and then the last one was Japanese commercials. So we in Celebrities React and even and YouTubers React, we've occasionally we try and collect like the craziest Japanese commercials that we can find, and we showed that to them.
I've seen those.
So we were like, we were like, what if we do that, but we actually show them to Japanese like YouTubers and see like what they think. Like, do they think this is normal, or do they think it's crazy? Like, whatever else. And so we had an episode, the latest one, YouTubers Reacted Japanese Commercials #2, and it's half US talent and half Japanese talent, subtitled. And so you can see all these big YouTubers reacting to these really wild and crazy Japanese commercials, and for the most part, and the Japanese stars thought, and it was obviously pretty commonplace because they understood that it was weird, but they also, that's just how they were subjected to them their whole life. And, Japan just has a different kind of mentality when it comes to like how you advertise yourself, because like direct competition to another company isn't really like socially acceptable. So you have to kind of like distinguish your own qualities without ever like negatively referring to another brand. And then they also just subscribe to a much more kind of like outlandish sense of like, and cultivating this ridiculous like feeling or attitude as it relates to their product versus like American ads, which are much more kind of like direct and like in your face.
Yeah, even American versus like European, there's just a world of difference. I kind of getting off topic, but I want to tell you a story really quick. Sure. So when I was in Japan, it was really funny. There was this commercial about getting rid of bad smells, like Febreze style. Yeah. So then you see like a dog, like pets come up and they spray it, and then you see like dirty carpet and they spray it, and then you see old people and they spray it, and they're like, get rid of old people smell too. I was like, that's terrible.
That is really terrible.
Anyway, I just thought of that. I thought it was kind of funny.
I mean, look, they're addressing an issue that is a problem for them. So I don't know. That's how I spend my weekends. I just go, I Febreze old people. That's just
terrible. But it's a norm for them. But with the success of going to Japan and making those YouTube videos, have you guys been to other countries, or do you guys plan on going to other countries and doing that?
I mean, I would absolutely love to. Like, one of my biggest passions is travel, and I want to find a way to work that into, every future year of my life. That's one of my resolutions, is to add at least one new stamp to my passport every year. And so, and we'll see if I'm able to keep up with that. At least I've got one from, in Tokyo now. Yeah. So I've got Japan checked off.
Did you have to get a passport for the Japan trip?
No. Look, I'm a man of the world. Okay?
I don't know. I don't know.
I've got a passport in my pocket. It's recently updated.
Disney passport doesn't count, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So tell us a little bit about the recent, endeavors with the Fine Brothers going on to TV. I know you had the Nickelodeon thing. There's a True TV thing I just checked out.
Yeah. So we have, towards the end of last year, we had a show on Nickelodeon called React to That, which was a spin-off of our React brand. It had a lot of the same talent from our Kids React, and some teens from our Teens React, and a lot of like Nickelodeon stars. And I think we had like one of the female Olympians on there. And that was 12 episodes that I think you can check out on like nick.com or something. So that was React to That. And
how'd that do?
Good, as far as we're concerned. We were very excited with it. And I think time will tell if there's ever another season of that. But it was a great experience. It was our first TV show. We were thrilled.
Yeah, but how? I was stopping you. How was it working with a TV show and your brand associated to it?
It seemed to go pretty well.
Okay.
There was, there was a lot of learning curves from both sides in terms of working with the other company. I don't think we quite got as much of a lead on being able to promote the show as we would have liked. I think we found out kind of late when it was actually going to come on the air. But as far as working with them, it was great. And a very super talented crew, just great sets. We were really happy with the edits, really happy with the shows, and we were able to do something that really looked like a TV show.
Yeah.
That was such a gorgeous show that we would never have been able to pull off kind of on our own without their help.
Okay.
And then we are now in production on another series with True TV called 6 Degrees of Everything.
Is it serious?
No, it's
okay.
It's
True TV is kind of a jokey, right? Like pranky.
Well, they have a lot of different content on right now. I think they're kind of rebranding slightly, but they've got a lot of just cool, interesting, and trivia learning, and content. And this kind of show connects topics that you wouldn't really realize in fun ways. So it's kind of a play on the 6 degrees equation, but we'll connect I don't know, mugs to something else crazy.
So you guys go through this different degrees?
We'll find a very entertaining way of connecting different people or celebrities or
it's
concepts.
Like that Kevin Bacon degrees thing.
Yeah, it's a spin on that.
Where did that idea come from? It sounds kind of unique to make a show out of that.
I think that it was an evolution of brainstorming and different discussions with the network, and yes, it's kind of things get developed over time through continual conversations and stuff like that. So yeah.
And what's your daily routine at work? Because you seem overworked and tired and exhausted and all that good stuff. So, what do you handle? What's your capacity over there?
So it's different. It's and it's different every day. That's kind of part of what makes it so fun and interesting. I primarily, and I'm a lot of the initials there. So, in COO, CFO, CTO.
You can have all of them.
Yes, by default right now.
But are the Fine brothers that as well?
No, they are kind of like the president and like CEO kind of, so to speak. I'm a lot of the other initials.
Okay.
And graphic designer,
editor,
HR, legal,
gopher.
Yeah, exactly. To the point where I actually bought like 9 different hats that had all my different jobs on them, and
really?
I put them on a bookcase behind me. And so whenever you come into my office, you see the 9 different hats behind me.
Oh, I thought you meant you put them on. Like, hold on, who am I going to be right now?
Sometimes I ask people, which hat do you want to talk to me about right now? And then just so I can get my head in the right mindset.
But, my gosh. Okay.
So that's, and my day-to-day is, indifferent. I'm overseeing a lot of different producers and a lot of different departments, and I'm trying to make sure we're bringing in the right people, and that people are communicating well, and expectations are logical, and it's a lot of facilitation to keep the company running smoothly.
Do you guys run auditions
for
the videos?
Yes, I mean we do scripted and unscripted content. So unscripted is the React series, and there's camera tests for that. We'll do casting calls, or we'll try and gather people that are interested in applying, and then we'll select some for camera tests and stuff like that. And then for the scripted stuff, we'll do actual auditions, because that's when we are looking for actors and stuff like that, and we'll do and they'll come in and camera test, then we'll do script reads with them, and we'll try and find the best actors for the best skits. But we're also in a position where we can tap a lot of resources and friends that we're super fans of. So if it is in somebody Jack's Films or something else, we can hey Jack, we have this in last moments of relationships, it'd be really funny if you're the boyfriend, would you be interested? And if he's available, sometimes they'll come and do that kind of thing for us, which is amazing, because it's such great cross promotion, and you're able to feature another great YouTube talent. And so we're lucky enough to be in a position where occasionally we can tap some really talented people to actually come straight in and be in our stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I just mentioned, you work a lot.
Yeah.
But most people quit their jobs if they're overworked and they don't enjoy it, which means you probably love your position. Yeah. What's the most gratifying part of being part of this company?
I think it's it's definitely the response that we get to the content that we make. Even when we spun off this React channel, we're trying to think okay, people seem to really like this Kids React and Teens React stuff. I wonder if we created a whole other channel, would people even care? If we were just to take those same people and do all new shows with them on this other thing, would people be interested in that? And people just flocked over there, and and that channel right now has millions of subscribers, and some of the formats that we'll test out and do over there just do so well. And we're lucky to be in a position where our hard work, you can see the tangible results of our hard work so easily. So I would say that's one of the most rewarding things. The other side of that being that we get to find talented people to work with and grow with these incredibly talented people that may have come out to LA themselves, and they really wanted to edit, and they and there are only so many TV stations, so you can't be an editor there, but they came and became an editor with us, and now they're growing in our post-production team. And so as we're growing, we're able to give people these opportunities, these full-time jobs to come and help us build this company. So it's it's rewarding from a person-to-person side, and it's rewarding from a viewership side.
Well, I know that the entertainment industry is not the most stable of industries. So do you ever feel like you're what are the things that make you feel like you're taking a big risk for this company? What was one of the biggest risks you guys felt like you took? Did I stump you?
You might have.
You're I don't risk anything. We're just lucky. I guess
because I think the Fines and I both kind of look at, in our budgets and stuff on a year-to-year basis, and we're all just kind of well, like, we get to do this for another year, you know what I
Nice.
mean? And so I don't think until everything goes terribly wrong or something, it's going to be really hard for us to, like, look back and figure out, like, ooh, we really shouldn't have hired, like, X, Y, or Z, or like,
No, I don't think that's gonna happen.
done this kind of, like, shoot. I mean, we've been in a lucky enough position that our content has been relatively well received. Even when we kind of make a misstep or, and create a show that isn't quite as good as another show, we're able to learn from that and we're able to continue and try new and other things. So we haven't quite kind of tripped ourselves up, just yet. So, yeah.
Are there any concepts or objects that you guys are working on in terms of people reacting to that you can mention here?
No, only that, yes, we're constantly thinking about that kind of stuff. So do not be surprised if in the next year or so you're not seeing more series on our channel, because we are aggressively pursuing all that stuff.
Yeah. So has there ever been a crossover where the Fine Brothers go into, I don't know, Jenna Marbles' YouTube or PewDiePie's or...
Yeah, they've done a couple collabs over time, but...
How about you?
No, yes, the unrelated Fine Brother doesn't get a lot of collab
Do you ever want to be on screen?
I don't have an acting bug inside me. You know what I mean? I love being a part of the podcast and stuff like that I'm able to creatively be a part of. But in terms of cameo and stuff, I had a great time on my music series. I played Bigfoot, so I was in a giant
Bigfoot?
Yeah, I was in a giant 7 foot tall
Nice.
Bigfoot costume.
I can totally see that. They're like, oh, we need a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Johnny.
It was a pretty immediate decision. But no, I definitely get my kicks kind of building stuff and behind the scenes. I've always been a behind the scenes guy. Yeah.
Okay, and which one's your favorite? No, I'm just kidding.
Which one's my favorite?
No, don't answer that. I'm totally kidding.
Which one is my favorite? Well, I hired Rafi, so I have to say Rafi because I go back.
They both applied for that job?
No. I think Benny was already working or he was doing something else. But Rafi was the brother that I got to know first. So that's the only reason I'll say that is I knew Rafi first. I grew to know and love Benny equally, but...
That's going to go in my press release.
Yeah, there you go.
Johnny Green says Rafi's the better brother.
Yes, I'm sorry, Benny. He knows I'm joking.
I'm totally kidding. Well, yeah, thank you so much for stopping over and talking about, that YouTube channel. That's been...
Thank you for having me. Hopefully this has been halfway interesting to anybody that's super into YouTube.
I'm interested. Well, let's ask. I want to ask you, for our viewers,
Yes.
Do you have any, advice for people who want to make it big in the YouTube world, who are just trucking along? How important is it to have, aesthetics, sound, and what's the key?
I think that the key is consistency. The key is being able to do something because you love it and because you can do it often. You can't be getting into it to be a YouTube star, because the cards are so stacked against you that if that's the only goal you have, you're not going to be motivated to actually do it long enough to even give yourself that chance. Don't put up hurdles in front of yourself in terms of you need the latest and greatest camera and latest and greatest microphone and latest and greatest lights. There's 1,001 reasons for you not to do that thing that you want to do now, and you should just be doing it because you can do it. The level of the bar. Well, the bar is the bar to entry is so low that you should just be doing it. And you could hop on your laptop right now and be coming up with a format or a show or something that you want to talk about or a vlog. And if you're doing that and doing that long enough and actually trying to find other people of in your level that you're able to collaborate with and slowly build and grow. If you're able to do that for a couple of years, there's a chance you might be able to spark something there. But if you're not willing to put in that work and effort, that's where you're going to shortchange yourself. That's the person getting off the bus from Indiana and expecting to be in the next Blockbuster or something.
I could just see it being so daunting because obviously.
But that's why you have to do it, because you're not making any money and you're doing it because you love that show or you love that format. That's the only reason to get into it or try and create a YouTube channel, is because the very act of you doing that, you would do that on your own if nobody was watching, because so few people are going to be watching early on that if you're doing that for that view count, you're going to have no motivation to continue. You're not going to be energetic or excited about the process. So that's my only advice is figure out, if you are interested in that, figure out something that you would love to do if you were doing it by yourself and nobody was watching, because that's the only way you're going to, stay motivated and want to keep doing it.
And so you're saying lighting quality, sound quality is secondary?
Yes. Of course, all that factors into it as you're able to upgrade different things. It's only going to add to your content. But if you're worried about investing in that off the bat, you know what I mean? You're almost setting yourself up for failure. Like, you're going to go and spend $1,000 or $2,000 on all this equipment, and then you're going to do this show for a month, and then you're not going to get enough views, and you're not going to be interested to keep doing it, and then you're going to be out, you're going to give up, and you're just going to be sitting on $1,000 worth of equipment, versus doing a show consistently over time, and you've been doing this for 6 months, and at 6 months you reward yourself with a better microphone or a better thing, and you kind of, over time, you incentivize yourself and your audience and everything else. So
what do you think engages viewers when they're watching a YouTube video?
Somebody that has a voice and a personality and something to share. You know what I mean? Somebody that wants to communicate, wants to not necessarily perform, but wants to share a piece of themselves and be very honest and open, because YouTube is such a personal platform that, you know what I mean? That's what they're looking for. They're looking for somebody very, I don't know, honest and entertaining.
I agree with you. It's hard to find organic, kosher, genuine people here in LA, just saying. But so YouTube also, allowed people to start commenting on, obviously people's talents and all that stuff. But now there's also a lot of trolling and a lot of just harsh things to do. How do you guys handle that?
So, look, that just comes with the territory.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be people that don't like, what you're doing, or just are in terrible places with their own lives that and they just want to share, and they're doing it for the attention. They're doing it for, a myriad of reasons. And I think the only way that you deal with those people is by not engaging them.
Yeah.
You don't give them the response that they're looking for. You know what I mean? It's not like some people are under this false sense of shining a light on them and drawing attention to them. Like, that's what's going to get them to, and change their opinion or disagree. And it's just no, the only way to deal with them is by not engaging and not, not addressing it whatsoever.
I just find it as for myself, when I see good and bad comments, when I see a negative comment, it makes me not want to look at anything at all, and it breaks the cycle of even just responding to keep the conversation going in general, which I enjoy. So do the Fine Brothers and yourself, do you guys read the comments? You don't engage, but do you read them? Yeah,
of course. And I think what you have to do is you have to get to a place where you are continuously engaging with the positive comments, because when you continually engage with the positive comments, people see that and they want to be a part of that conversation. You're fostering the positive side of that. So that's very important for us. You just have to, I totally understand that you could read 100 positive comments and one negative one, and the only thing that's going to stick with you is the one negative comment.
It just this is obviously coming from a specific place, but sometimes it gets really racial and just, I was born with this voice, I'm sorry that it's raspy, just crap. How do you deal with it? And you guys are successful. I'm sure you guys get a balance.
It's not just YouTube. that's the entertainment industry in general, and you just need an iron skin to be able to deal with that stuff. If that stuff if you're not able to get to a place where you can protect yourself from that, then over time you're just not going to be motivated. You're not going to be interested because it hits you. You have to be able to apply context to those situations and not let yourself just get taken down by that.
I think I find it really interesting because when you think of celebrities because of TV or movies, they're on the tabloids and all that stuff, but their kind of negative comments come from news and pop culture, where YouTube stars don't really have that kind of same notoriety. It really stems from...
you can but at the same time, look at any celebrity that's got a social media presence, and you're going to see the same thing. Anytime you give the public a chance to comment on anything you do or say, it's going to be there. It's going to be a part of that conversation. So it's just something you have to learn to deal with.
And as a showrunner, how important do you think social media is in terms of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter?
It's and it's the lifeblood. It's our billboards. It's our TV ads. You know what I mean? If you're not where your audience is, how are you possibly going to get them to engage with your content? So,
fair. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Cool. See, you're so great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for doing this. Oh, one more question. Yeah, you keep having questions in my head. So when you did the reacts, what was your very first react video? Like what and how did you get these people to react, these kids? Like
I don't know. The first react video I think was Rebecca Black. I think she was one of the first ones.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That Friday chick.
But it was also, we were also showing them, I think, a couple different things in the episode. Like, it wasn't like a dedicated episode, I think. I don't know. I could be totally
interesting. I need to look that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there you go.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks so much. And tell our viewers where the Fine Brothers can be found.
So, yes, youtube.com/thefinebros or youtube.com/react. We're also the Fine Bros on Twitter or the John Show on Twitter. No H, Jon. Yeah, those are our main. And then if you look in our YouTube descriptions, you can find all of our other social media pages.
Were you born with no H?
Yes.
Interesting.
Like all the correct Jonathan.
There's something very cool about your parents. Are like, we're gonna make this happen. Okay. And you can find me at KAORIOUS on Instagram as well as Twitter. And thank you guys for joining us, and rate, comment, subscribe down here. Nice stuff. Or we won't engage. I'm just kidding. Well, thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you guys some other time for some more Spotlight Ons.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.